do the whole stream. So welcome everybody. We are now streaming live officially. I'm Sam Solbright, and I'm joined with my beautiful soul sister Julie Dhara from Northeast US, in the Northeast US. And we're going to be chatting about anything and everything that comes up. Really, just free. It's a free play share, free platform. But I'm super happy to have you, Julie. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's been a while. So anything and everything goes that's either relevant to like what's going on right now, or anything that you'd like to share about your current experiences, what's been going on in your world. I know there's a lot.
Awesome.
What would you like to start with?
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I'm throwing the box.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, you had asked me this right before we started recording, right? And I was like, I'm all about the Pleiades right now. I'm in the Pleiades zone. So one of the things that I do, one of my soul callings here on the planet, is to pay attention to celestial gateways. So the celestial sphere is the dome of the night sky, or the daytime sky too. And different planets and different suns and moons and all the different ways that they interact and play with each other throughout the year. So right now the sun is right near the Pleiades. So there's when the sun conjuncts or goes next to a celestial body, be it the moon, is that what we have eclipses, but when it goes right next to or conjuncts the Pleiades, it's a time of heightened communication from that particular star or star cluster. So to me, it always shows itself as like the sun is like almost double broadcasting. Like, if the sun was next to Saturn, for instance, it's like the sun is beaming sun codes and some Saturn codes at us. So we just hear extra. And then this year, so the sun conjuncts the Pleiades every May. That's when it moves next to the Pleiades in the sky. So we don't see the Pleiades in the nighttime sky because it's like in the gaze of the sun, in the sun time. And that happens, mid the May 20s, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there every year. But this year we have the power of Mercury is right there in the sky next to the sun and next to the Pleiades. Okay. So the day that the sun exact conjuncted the Pleiades was the 21st, 22nd, which also the sun was conjunct Mercury. So Mercury is said to be the quicksilver messenger, right? Messenger of the gods, communication. So I feel like this year it's turned up the volume, like Spinal Tap. This one goes to 11. we're all the way up on Pleiades communication to me right now, because the Mercury quicksilver energy is like helping that broadcast, and it's like, so that's my jam right now.
Well, that's interesting because when I first woke up to galactics and stuff was through a Pleiadian channeling. That's what
was it the one, the Barbara?
Yeah.
That one, the Pleiades, yes.
It was like a 20-minute video. I had no idea. I was just starting to kind of wake up, but I was sitting in my office and I would listen to YouTube videos, and that video kept popping up. And finally I'm like, okay, I'm just going to click on it.
It'd be cool. So you're sharing this on YouTube, right? Why don't you go comment after we're all done and put your video on link, and I'll comment and put the one that I watched.
Oh,
so we can share with people, right?
Yes.
A good cross-pollination. I'm curious if it's the same, but it'll be fun. Then
that actually would be. And so I didn't even really know, I didn't even know it was a Pleiadian channel at the time. I had no clue until much later. And then even much later, I was like, oh, it was the Pleiadians that really started me on this journey and really opened me up. And it's interesting you said that we're in this Pleiadian kind of gateway, because a lot of galactic stuff is coming through for me too, of kind of like a galactic missions is starting to activate more within myself.
One of the reasons we hear in our solar system or here on planet Earth that we hear from the Pleiades so loudly is it's really one of our closest
Yes.
neighbors.
I did
Like,
realize
so that's like, so that we're in the Orion arm or spur of the Milky Way. And like, if you followed our arm back to the center of the Milky Way, like the things you come across is first the Pleiades, and then the Hyades, like the Orion constellation stars, Sirius, like it's all in the arm. Like they're, you know, if you lived like in the suburbs of the city, like of the same, you know, geographic region, that's like, galactically speaking, the Pleiades are our neighbors.
Well, I did know that, but it's so cool how you were, you know, saying Pleiades, Hyades. You said something else. I forgot.
Orion, like the stars that are in the Orion constellation.
Okay.
And Sirius are all in our galactic arm.
Okay.
They're all like our, you know, if you were to drive down the highway, like up here, I'm in Massachusetts, so I drive on the Mass Pike, like you go through the cities that you go through. If you were going to drive the galactic arm of the galaxy, you know, the exit stations would be those stars.
So, and you're right, like the Pleiadians have been very, very, or highly in contact with us. Is Arcturus? I actually don't know exactly how far.
Well, fascinatingly, that's a whole nother topic, but Arcturus is from a whole different galaxy. It's like not actually a Milky Way star. It's like a long time ago, our galaxy collided with another galaxy. And so the Arcturus is part of the Arcturus group. It's from an old, or old, they're all old star terms, but it's a now defunct galaxy that collided with and was absorbed by the Milky Way.
That's fascinating. Well, the reason I bring that up because I still feel like the Pleiadians and the Arcturians are probably the most like when I go online, like it's Arcturus channelings or Pleiadian channelings. Those are kind of like the big chunk of the channelings that people like that people start to channel and continue to channel. So I was just curious if like Arcturus was like near Pleiades or not. Pleiades.
It's not, no.
But interesting.
But another big communicator.
Very interesting.
For sure.
Wow. Okay.
So we were chatting, and both you and I both use Andaras as part of our like tools that we love to use to chat with the stars, or that's how I use them anyway, as tools for LightBody and light communications. So I've been following this Pleiadian Gateway for many years now, whatever, it doesn't matter how many linear, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And each year at this time, like more different pieces of the puzzle or different communication streams come through for me. And many years back, I was having dreams like around this time, like you were talking about the Pleiadian, and I kept seeing this color of an Andara that I had seen someone describe as a Pleiadian sunrise Andara. And I was like, oh, I wanted to seek that out and, use that get that for myself as part of my team and to activate with. And then as it goes, I contacted a mutual friend of ours who sells Andaras and reunites them with guardians. And when I was talking to Dana on the phone, or on Zoom, she was like, I decided her and I together built this Pleiadian grid. And then I was like, oh, maybe instead of just getting 1, I'll get 7, which is like, at the time, it was kind of early on my Andara journey. And if you aren't familiar with people that are watching this, they're a little bit of an investment, like this way.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, oh, I was like newer to it. And I was like, oh, it's like, seemed like a huge investment of my energy and time. Right. But I gathered this team, and then she gifted me a few too, like they came in the pack. So like I assembled this 9-piece team. So the 7 sisters and the mom and dad. And then I used them in a grid, like I would make them into the shape of the constellation, how the Pleiades look. And I have this place that's local to me that was really part of my awakening journey to all this stuff, which is a Pleiadian Stargate. It's a beehive chamber that's an astro aligned like sightline chamber, you know, kind of like one of the chambers that exist. They exist all over the globe, but there's one really right here in my backyard. So it's basically like an old school telescope of sorts, because it's this beehive dome and this long, like 14-foot tunnel that makes your eyes kind of go dark and dim so you can see the alignments. Anyway, so I was there, not necessarily in the chamber, but at that place, which is a Stargate. And I was there with my Andaras and have gone there for years. So 1 year, so that was fast back, whatever, 2018. And then each year, I'd like this time of year, I take that set out and work with it under the stars or under the moon, you know, in that time, in this time. In 2020, Venus was with the Pleiades right around this time.
Okay.
So I had made a grid and I had a stone, an Andara also that stood in or took the place for Venus. Last year, Mars was the planet that was with them. So I put another, like a big red stone in with the Pleiadian set and worked with that. So that if people that aren't familiar with Andaras, they really just create like a bridge or for me, they're a tangible talisman landing point, and they really do facilitate communications. So go back. So this year it's Mercury with it. Yes. So last year I had when the Mars Pleiades alignment, we were still snow covered here in New England. So I had my Andaras out in the snowbank for like a week or two as like, because just wasn't melting. It was really cool. So like, you know, like they would get the codes and I would be out with them, you know, here and there, not for hours at a time because it was like 0 degrees, but they were like, I basically, when I use them for gridding, I'll like set them up in a spot where I don't have to move them again and allow that to. So that was happening. And then I moved them onto my back porch because we were getting another snowstorm and I didn't want to like lose them in the shoveling and all that. So I had them on my back porch in their configuration. And then I came home one day and my daughter had rearranged them and like lined them up on the shelf. And I was like, at first I was like really like irritated. I was like, I can't have anything that's just, you know, I was like, why are you doing this? She's messing with my stuff. And then she's like, well, Mama, I had to arrange them like the rainbow. I had to put them in rainbow order. And I didn't even notice. I've been working with them for like 3 or 4 years. I hadn't even noticed that they were like the colors of the rainbow. And I was like, it took my rainbow child to like, you know, act. And I was like, oh, like it's just gonna sound simple, but it was one of those like 7 sisters, 7 rainbow rays. And I had inadvertently been using this rainbow team, not even acknowledging them as a rainbow team. And just like, it had the moment of like, confluence where I was like, oh yeah, like Pleiadian LightBody technology is the rainbow LightBody technology.
Yeah,
it was like ding ding ding, you know,
right. Aha moment.
Thank you 5-year-old for initiating the way. I mean, they don't call them rainbow children for nothing, right? Or crystal children.
Gosh,
it's all color coding.
Are so advanced. That is so cool. I didn't realize that the set was rainbow until you mentioned it.
I didn't either till Vivi like pointed it out to me. Thanks, babe. But that was like, so that was in whatever, last year at this time. And then this year, it's, you know, it's like the best laid plans. Like we don't really plan things linearly, right? But I have this rainbow LightBody course that I've wanted to launch and had planned to do it in January and blah, 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 blah. And then February and, you know, like things, this was just like coming around. And then I was like, when it all worked out, because it took me a while to build it all up, you know, get it all the content in there. And now it's launching now. And I was like, oh, it's like, it's perfect. It's like
well, exactly. Because this is, you mentioned that the portal, the Pleiades portal opened up recently. No,
the exact, so there is different people I've seen around like call the portal different times, but for me it's, so basically the sun is with the Pleiades and invisible to us in the night sky in the 40-day period, like 20 days before and about 20 days after it conjuncts. So there's a period of like, it's caught up with the sun or like engulfed in the sunlight.
Right.
I think of that whole thing as a gateway. So that's really like a whole month long.
Okay.
Early mid-May to early mid-June.
So this is perfect.
Yeah, we're in it now. We're in the thick of it. But the exact conjunction was the 21st, 22nd.
Okay. So a couple of days ago. So Friday and Saturday. Oh God. That explains things.
Well, and so the Mercury conjunction was there too.
And it's interesting because I have 2 nights ago, I had this throat. I could feel I was being, my throat was being worked, my solar plexus was being worked. A couple of other clients were like, yeah, throat stuff is coming up. That explains it. So we're opening up our channel to communicate, like a new way of communicating, I feel.
Yeah. And the other part, like for the Pleiades, that always speaks to me and my soul is the tales of the Pleiades talk about, if we go here in the United States or in North America, Devil's Tower in Wyoming, that looks almost like a tree. The native tales are that there are these 7 sisters, 7 girls who are being chased by wolves, or no, a bear. They're chased by a bear, and so their fathers turn them into stars to protect them from the bear. In all the different cultures, or in Greece, they were being pursued by the hunter Orion, right? And Zeus turned the 7 sisters into the stars. So it's like this tale of ascension, really. It's a tale of human beings becoming star beings. So there's a way that this Pleiades to me like activates and accesses our crystalline or prism qualities. And then when we become the crystal, we become the prism, then the sunlight shines through and diffracts into its rainbow colors. So there's a lot of different ways to like correlate the rainbow being to the star body.
So for those that may or may not know, and even for me, I'm always up for learning and remembering more, but like this one, what would be like, if it's possible, like a simple way of explaining what the rainbow light body is?
Yeah, so it's
and is it the same as a crystalline, or is that
a little? I mean, it's I feel like it's a phase and facet.
Okay.
So different cultures and different traditions call it different things. Like there is a rainbow body that's like the ascension vehicle in the Tibetan and Himalayan region. That's like a whole science and system that I'm not an expert in, so I won't speak to. But I can link people to that. But for me, the rainbow light body is, yes, you become the crystal or you become the prism. And your chakra system is like, or the one light of source or sunlight shines through you, and you as the crystal, you as the prism, it diffracts into the rainbow, just like it would if you hung a prism in the windowsill, right? So our chakras really are sometimes associated with those, the red, orange, yellow through the rainbow rays. And it's like that massive amount of sunlight it's so heavily encoded. It's like we can't take it all in as one thing. We have to like filter it into its different frequencies to like make it more digestible and tangible.
Okay.
So the red ray transmits one facet of sunlight, which is a certain frequency, and then the orange ray. Does that answer your question at all? It's like, what is the rainbow light body? Is that quality of you that is full spectrum and multidimensional, and like all of your senses, all of your elements, and how they exist as shape and light.
Right. Would you say that this is like kind of I don't know, maybe like the first, because you know how Lisa says there's so many different light bodies.
Yeah, well, I think it's the easiest and the most tangible, or like it's not even, I want us to call it beginner, but you mean it's like the first phase of your light body that comes online?
The beginning.
Yes, because I think a lot of us like grew up exploring whatever spirituality or the energy body, and we'd come through the chakras. Like the chakras are so universally known, right? And just in general, like who doesn't delight in a rainbow appearing in the sky? Like even even every day, like I have a prism hanging in my window and it's east facing. So like every morning when I'm taking a shower, getting dressed, like I have rainbows on it. It's like it's the first time every day, you know? Every time I see a rainbow, it's like I'm like a little kid and it lights me up and it's like so exciting.
Yes.
Even just one that I've created myself on my wall with a crystal, right? Or the prism. But the ones that come like in the sky, it's like, you know, we're all like going outside and frolicking like little kids and like, yay, it's a rainbow. Like, I feel like it's the most tangible or human accessible. It's like so joy filled. It's like even the Muppets sing about it. You know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like so encoded in our structure.
Very universal. So, like everybody just.
It's just that universal thing. So it really does. It speaks universally to the soul of the human being. And yes, so I feel like it's one of the first easiest, more tangible aspects of the light body to come online. Yeah, because even like we work with like, you know, you learn the chakra system and the colors really speak. It's like, I think it draws people in.
Yes, even in ways that maybe people don't feel or remember. But you're right, like every time we see rainbows, colors of the rainbow, it draws us, like something just sometimes we can't really explain. It's like, and it is a reflection of us in a way, and it might be also why it's like we're so drawn to it, because I'm a rainbow girl too. I don't know if you can see my little.
Oh yeah, hi rainbow. Yeah, and like the color coordination, yeah, definitely lights something up.
Yes.
But that as a first rung or first accessible activation of the light body.
Yes. Okay.
It's a good bridge, pun intended, you know, rainbow bridge. Like it's a good bridge for people, because it's, I think for a lot of, even for myself, just say for myself, like I grew up in yoga, and not when I was a kid, but like I came to like understand some of the more subtle body dimensions and energy body through the system of yoga and through that philosophy. So that's like, it's rich and steeped in the chakras, but it took me, you know, 15 plus years of that journey to even like think that there was a light body, know there was a light body. It's like, that wasn't part of the standard protocol, you know, of yoga classes. So then it's like, oh, then you like, when you expand your awareness and you awaken to the more subtler dimensions, it's like this whole exploration of the light body. That's how it's been for me anyway. It's like, oh, it's like even that, yeah, just more like subtler structure.
And you're right, it is something that it has come a little, or I could say probably in the past few years, or maybe even more, it's become more mainstream, where people,
the light body.
Well, and like the chakras, and like just people like at least either knowing a little bit about or hearing a little bit about it, it's become a little bit more mainstream. And you're right, it does make the bridge of, as you continue to expand, it's like, oh, okay, there's so many connections in there that probably facilitate you know, the understanding, and especially like right now that you said it, it's like, oh, that would make sense.
And it's how our sun, our star Solaris, is encoded with rainbow frequencies. So the information that we get from the sunlight comes in this rainbow bundle. It's always just as like another, you know, we'd have to travel in body to different star systems. But I'm curious, like if we went to, you know, Sirius or Arcturus or whatever, pick another star, and we went to a planet in that star system, I wonder if the whole thing is coded differently in different solar systems. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, we don't, I mean, it's interesting.
We probably,
right? Is the rainbow language unique to our sun, to our star? Maybe, and then that's why, you know, you talk about some folks, we can talk about the general, like the red, orange, yellow, green, like that. But a lot of like my clients, friends, people that I share intel with, some people have a whole different color coding for their chakras. like it's a more pastel tone, or it's a different thing. And that's what led me to that. I was like, oh, she has like turquoise where other people have yellow, or this person has but I was like, oh, maybe that's their star coding. Like their home star is coded in a whole different, it's not an astro bright rainbow, but it's like a whole different palette. Does that make sense?
No, and it's so fascinating you say that, because even in like my early, like when I first started to dive into like intuition, my teacher at the time even mentioned it, like just because you have the, like you said, the red, orange, yellow, like it doesn't mean that it's gonna be either that particular color or that shade of color. So like always tune in to see, because it might be a different color, it might be a different palette, like you said.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating now that you say that. It's like, it's true. It might be differently based on what I don't know. I mean, maybe the person's dominant race, or like dominant, like a galactic. Fascinating. I never really thought about that.
It's a really long answer. I forget what question you asked me in the beginning. Like, what's a rainbow light body? You asked for a succinct, short answer, and I gave the opposite of that, but that's okay.
We're quantum and we go all over the place.
Yeah, so like a short answer then is like, what is the rainbow light body? It's like sunlight shining through you as a crystal, the light that emanates that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, I feel like it's essentially and people are probably familiar with like all chakras opened up, all chakras. Well, it might even be the evolution of like, because I remember one, and I'm not an expert in chakras, but like some spin this way, or some emit, some transmit, or some receive. And so I feel like, or you can, dive into it, like all of them at some point, well, as you activate your rainbow light body, all of them are like fully online, open, and like transmitting out.
Yeah.
Is that what
I mean? Yeah, I mean, all of them, all of the chakras do all the things you just said. They are receptors, and they are transmitters.
Yes.
They that whole, they spin this way, that way, like that is one paradigm, but I think it's like one, and it's great to take any, like it's one like school of thought, right? But there are many, and it's they're all subject to the translation of the human. Even it's like not interesting to me, but as someone who studied a lot of Vedanta and Tantric philosophy, and like through the yoga traditions, that it's all through the lens of the people from Britain, the UK, that went and invaded, and then stole translations from the Sanskrit, brought them back to England, and translated them into English and shared them with the world through their filter of their experience. It's like, and then sort of called these schools their own, and whatever, besides the like cultural appropriation and the not giving credit to source, it's just like everyone took a little bit of piece of the puzzle. And so there's a lot of different, that's what I keep saying, there's a lot of different schools of thought around it.
Right.
But then it's like, how, for me, I've been like, well, how do you transcend or unify all those different things? It's through the direct communication of either the shape or the color. Like, the shape of a square there's no distortion there. It's free. It's like a free transmission, so I've, for myself, gone to like say the earth chakra, for instance. It's often depicted as the 4-petaled lotus flower, but it's really like you can take each edge, each point of the lotuses and make it like each chakra has a shape. But the colors too, the way I say that is like they've been overlaid. Like that's really not part of the ancient tradition of the chakra. That's like a Western kind of overlay to put the rainbows to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're really just, not just, they are really gateways or doorways or portals, like each chakra. So it's
Yeah.
like the earth chakra is that portal or doorway or gateway for the earth, the steady, strong endurance, like those energies to come through, or that color bandwidth.
Yeah, so fascinating. Wow.
But so like to get to the direct transmission of it is really from the sun. It's like that's the thing that's replicatable throughout the globe. It doesn't matter what culture you're in, what tradition you're in. Like you put a glass of water in the sunlight and it's going to show up those colors.
Yes.
So that like the colors themselves create the activation. It's the solar rays that are creating the activation, and we're just rising up to meet it and to interface.
Right. Fascinating. You've opened me up definitely a lot here. I was gonna say something and I'm just kind of like feeling into it.
Roll into it.
So the soul essentially, like, you probably would confirm we're in this acceleration phase because we've been feeling the sun much more strongly. I have, and all of these different like flares coming through. I feel like we're in this acceleration passageway because we've been receiving those more strongly than before. And I haven't really charted this, and I know you and I you had a little combo with Lisa. So you probably you may be able to say something different, but I have like noticed that the sun is like a lot stronger than I've felt it before. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, for sure. It's there's so many layers to it. It's interesting to distinguish what's from what, but as this solar cycle 25 that we're in, that's what the scientists would call it. Like where the sun goes through these 11-year cycles of maxima and minima. So we're moving out of a solar minimum and towards a solar maximum. That's a cyclical thing that happens every 11 years.
Okay.
So when you're at a solar minimum, that means the sun itself is not producing as much gas content. I call them, like, lovingly call them solar burps. Like every coronal mass ejection or every flare is like a burp of plasma from the sun. So when the sun is super active and burping out a lot of gas, a lot of plasma, it creates this big the solar wind or the solar discharge. The plasma from the sun covers over and engulfs the earth, the planets in the solar system, and that acts as like a buffer, or it knocks off the like cosmic rays. So at a solar maximum, we're getting much more coating from the sun, much more light, much more plasma directly from the sun. So when the sun is at a minimum and is not quite as active, the Earth's magnetosphere is, well, we rely on just our own magnetosphere, and we don't have this like cushion. It's almost like having a comforter, like a blanket of plasma, that's sun plasma that coats and covers and like cocoons. It's like a velvet covering, right? So we're engulfed in that. At a solar minimum, that blanket is taken away, and then we get more bombardment from the cosmic rays. That makes sense. So like at a solar minimum, we get much more star transmission and cosmic rays. And at a solar maximum, it's like where the broadcast station is sun.
So where are we in that 11?
We're building up towards a solar maximum. So the predicted, I forget the actual years, but I think the maximum was predicted for solar cycle 25 to be like 2026, 2028. Like it's gearing up faster and more accelerated than even like scientists had predicted.
Okay.
So there's that 11-year cycle of the sun, but there's also 100-year cycles and 400-year cycles. So I don't have all the factoids in my brain right at the moment, but there are grand solar maxes and grand solar minimums. So like there's this little curve that the sun moves up and down. That's the 11-year one, but there's like bigger cycles too. So just like, for instance, like the 1918, like every 100 years, there's grand solar minimums.
Okay.
So I think the like 1819 zone and the 1819 zone was like more of a solar minimum. So we had more like galactic and cosmic codes coming through.
Okay.
And now we're gearing up. So it's like you hear from the sun louder because it's literally burping at you more. It's like if you're in a room with somebody farting and burping, it just fills with gas and you're like, it's like all you can smell or see or sense. We're like in the room with the sun and it's like off gassing aplenty. So yeah,
that may also be why we're
hot. The sun's hot boxing our RV with its sun farts, and like that's all we can smell or taste.
And then we pass out.
But it's true though.
Yeah, no. So right now you said we're coming out of the minimum in both the 11 and the 100 cycle.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. And like some of them you can only know in hindsight. Like we can't predict forward when the next solar maxima is going to be because it's only something you know in hindsight from like watching the charts.
Oh,
like they can guesstimate, but the proof's in the solar
right. Right.
Depends.
Right now we're like in this unexpectedly higher.
Right. It's unexpected from like a scientific point of view, but from a way shower and ascension people, like, the people, we have a lot of mentors in common. They've been talking about this for quite some time, right? And so it's predicted through the, dare I say, metaphysical science, ascension people.
Well, and
but it's not so like if you go to the NASA or NOAA website, it's like they're more linear and they predict
right
average cycles by data and all that. So we're not matching, like right now we're accelerated based on like the scientific linear curve.
Okay. Well, and even like because we're in this 2022. Oh my God, I don't even know what time it is. So
that's okay. I don't look at you. Tell. It's
tell
fine.
me. Tell me. You're my timekeeper here. It feels like, and we've heard Lisa say like we've been waiting for 2022 for a very long time. And that kind of automatically says, oh, it's gonna be big. So I mean we're right in the middle of it. We're already feeling the intensity. We're already feeling all of these, flares, burps, gases from the sun that we have not felt before in a while, or as consistent or as big. So
I think different of us that do this work that you and I do, or this play that you and I play, like just for myself, the solar activity hasn't been, I don't want to say it hasn't been affecting me, because certainly it has, but it's like, it's not what I've been assigned to pay attention to the most. Like I think there's a lot of people paying attention to that. I feel like I've been like my soul calling or my soul shuffle is just a little different than that.
Right.
And I haven't found like, I've heard a lot of friends and buddies and people on the path that it says like, oh, it's knocking me out, it's this, it's that. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, I haven't really like personally felt it a lot. I mean, totally. I mean, I think it's there. It's just like one of the many things.
Yes.
And I don't put a lot of time or attention or focus on it, except for the times where I'm like, oh, there is like that, oh, you got to go lay down. What happened? Like my body feels like it's like pulsing and I'm like, but it's just not like one of those things that I feel like it's my role to pay attention to all that stuff. Like in a general sense, like it's interesting.
Definitely know more than most. So thank you for all of this amazing knowledge that you shared. Because I think, I mean, even with like, I don't know, it brings more to your awareness and it makes you just become more aware of like and even like you said, there's so much more than the sun. There's just so much right now. That's just like.
But you like short answer, you'd ask me like, do I find the sun? I found the sun seems brighter. It seems whiter, like white hot or more than the yellow. Like it, but it, you know, different days it has different. I think it shows us different facets. There are some times where you just feel like rainbow rays, rainbow rays, rainbow rays, and I'll go out and like where I live, we don't get a lot of, you know, rainbows every day, like some places, but the clouds will cover. It's not like every single time you take a picture of a cloud in front of the sun, does it do that rainbow thing, right? It's only on like certain days, certain types of clouds.
Yes.
But the sun is showing a lot of different facets of itself. Like sometimes it's much more diamond-esque, right? There's some days where you feel like, oh, it's plasma, like plasma. Like what makes you feel that way? It's, you know, would be complicated to talk about. There's different ways that some days the sun is just like so golden, like gold codes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's more like platinum, right? It's like, so it definitely, the sun has different personality days or different, like, that's kind of separate from its, you know, eruption. But I think that, so how does this dovetail into the rainbow light body we were talking about? As you like hone your own or get more familiar with your own rainbow light body, like those are the receptor sites, like your chakras or your energy body, like takes in the sun rays as the different frequencies of the rainbow. And sometimes also on some certain days, like I think it's fun when I see, especially of the Dhara community, like sometimes we're all like, we all get the greens out, right? Like everybody's working on greens, or like the dark blue, the blues are out. And I wonder for myself, like, is that like the prominent ray of the day or the time? I find that, you know, it's like, oh, the purples, like it's time for purples, or it's like there's a certain transmission that has a certain frequency that's like more for the soul awakening that's happening. Like they're different, like the rays of light are really the communicator. The language, the light language of the sun is these rainbow rays.
That's
so
beautiful.
When we you know, part of like activating your light body is to unlock the skill set of communicating directly to the sun through light codes and through rays.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, actually, what's your color right now? Because what color are you being more drawn to?
Yeah,
I'm
today.
just curious.
Yeah, like lately.
Lately.
It's been, so that's interesting that you asked that, because I feel like it's kaleidoscoping so fast. Like they're all, like sometimes I'll have periods of time where maybe it's because I'm doing this rainbow, you know, I'm finishing up my rainbow ray course, but they're like, I would say there's this one, almost, I call it Lemurian sunrise, like this green that has like, you know how the soul fire on Dharas have that orange in the middle? Like they're white, but like if you hold on to the light, they code orange. There's a green that does that too. So that like Lemurian green, or the green, I don't have one right on hand to hold up. That one's been very loud lately, like the lime-ish green, light green, but with the soul fire inside.
Like the picture you shared. You shared a picture.
Yeah, that. But that's even a little more limey green. But yeah, the greens have been kind of prominent for me this spring. I also have a bunch of grids set up, but I have this. There's a piece that I saw and connected with and bought and added to my collection that had this profile of that just said Andromedan to me. So like one corner of my porch has this like soft hue, like I have a light purple, light pink, light green, light blue, but then like a dark blue that it has. I'll send you a picture later. It has this like pink like profile. So like the pastel zone is kind of prominent too.
Oh wow.
Which has nothing to do with the solar rays, but it's yeah, I haven't had days that have had super pay attention to this ray. Like that. I used to get that a lot.
Okay.
How about for you? What color has been around for you more?
Well, I was interested because right now, like I'm working with my entire set, even though like the green bluish is coming through and even the orange. But the other day I was just kind of skimming through pictures and it was like, it was a green. It was like green, all sorts of tones of green, like,
Yeah.
and we know like Andaras have like different colors in them. Well, some of them do. But it's been that color that just kind of like attracted me more so than any other one. So I just kind of wanted to see if like,
Yeah, those
what
like those my
was.
log. The greens.
Yes,
Greens have
yes,
been very
yes, prominent. And I never really noticed that until, because and then it's I'm still opening up and learning about Andoras in my own experience. Like I'm not an expert for sure, and so like going through and like skimming through pictures, I feel like I'm much more open to, okay, what draws me. I mean, all of them draw me, but specifically those have been like, I gotta click on it, like I gotta see it.
Yeah, that soul call, that like they do that.
Yes.
They start like pulling or communicating with your soul in a certain, or even like if you have a whole selection of them on a windowsill in the same room under the same conditions, sometimes like one of the color just like pops, like it like talks to you more, and it's like it can be different the next day too.
Yes.
But then there's like those dominants, like me, and that's it's like from within and without simultaneously. It's like a facet of your soul that wants to come online, that wants to awaken, and it's like the incoming stream from the sun. I feel like it's like simultaneous, like to meet in the tangible here and now.
Yes, I love how you put that. That's actually really good.
But they definitely start in the dream state. I get a lot of like dreams of colors or dreams of things. It's like, all right, I'll go investigate that. But like you said, you can look at those of us that are lucky enough to have our, say our Facebook feed like full of people's pictures of Andaras. Like they're all beautiful, right? But sometimes like one color or one is like bing, 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 like it calls it's like calling soul home. It's like, Sam, pay attention to me. I am here for you now. Right? It's like louder than the other ones. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I haven't really, like, I feel like now it's a little bit stronger than it was before. So it's interesting just how like my evolution of like working more with them has allowed me to get more of that like, oh, come to me kind of experience. So super, super fascinating. How are you? How are we?
I'm good. I know, it's so fun to talk to you. I feel like we're like talking about like that's the beauty of like the quantum conversation, right?
Yes, so much. I love your background, by the way. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was a filter, but then it was like, no, it's
like,
actually
no, it's like a piece of cloth.
it's real. Yeah. Is it a specific constellation or is it just
no, I just like the colors. It was like a thing, I bought it on Amazon. It wasn't even like a special. I was just like, oh, I want to like a backdrop. Oh, you went away. There you are.
Oh, sorry. Pop
But
up.
it just brings a little yeah, it's a nice, I like it as a backdrop.
I love it. I need to get some more of those. So did you want to talk a little bit about the other offering that you were?
Oh, when you'd ask me like what I'm working on right now?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I've also, so one of my specialties is this celestial gatekeeping. Like it's the part that like brings all of my skill sets from human life past, and I'm sure like through dimensions and galactic ways, but I'm learning how to share about that more and more with people. So I have some online courses that I'm offering about like what is, because I think in our community for sure you hear a lot about like, oh, I'm going to work a gateway, or like I'm a gatekeeper, or like what is that exactly, like stargates, like what is it exactly? So I have a free share thing that's just really just answers those questions in a sort of a short, concrete way. That's like, what is a gatekeeper? What is a stargate? What is, and it's shown itself to me in two different tiers or two different facets of gatekeeping, is terrestrial gatekeeping or celestial. So like terrestrial is more traveling to sacred sites, finding chambers, like what I described earlier, like activating with the sites, earth-based, place-based, earth grids, and galactivating with stargates that are positioned here on Earth, if that makes sense. And then there are the celestial gateways that, to me, they show themselves more as like the alignments of the planetary bodies and the sun and the moon. And so I am launching a year-long share right now. That's like kind of a monthly kind of membership-y, like hang out with me. Like I have like so much content that comes through. I want to funnel it and share it with people in a way that we can go deep together. So I have I've kind of outlined the months as we go, and like each month kind of has a prominent gateway to it. We're May, we're in this Pleiadian Gateway. Then as we move through, like August is often people call the Lion's Gate. In the July is the different. So there's different celestial markers that make these gateways.
Okay.
Is that what you meant? So I'm bringing those to the forefront of people's awareness that want to come play in that field with me. And if you're so kind, we could link some of my things.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. We're linking everything.
And you were saying you're doing.
So one of the things that I'll be offering are like 2-day workshops. I was doing like 2, 3, 4 week-long workshops, but this summer seems to be, I'm gonna have like visitors come in and I might be traveling. So it's like kind of switching gears into like just 1 or 2 workshops. And so if you're watching here, I'm probably gonna have some guests. Hopefully Julie will be one of them at some point.
It's great for the summer. So like people
yeah.
can
And so just on different topics. I mean, we go all over the place, but like, I usually like tune in right before, like as I'm going to like quote unquote launch it and see like what's like the main themes, topics. But even that seems a little bit challenging for me because there's so many different, things happening and things that I can bring forth. But yeah, that's gonna be kind of my probably thing, this summer, maybe longer. I'm not sure.
That sounds so fun.
And we're talking about kind of like the 2-year cycles of things. And so like I myself was like, okay, I've been doing this for 2 years now. Do I feel like, like a shift from like the class, though, like the month long class.
Yeah.
The month long class. So it feels.
Speaking of month long, if you don't mind if I piggyback on that, I am actually launching a month long class that starts tomorrow. That's about the rainbow light body.
That's the rainbow light body.
Yeah, maybe that's what you're asking me about for. So I'm doing, it's all online and people can do it in their own time frames. But I do have Zoom gathering, so I'm doing like 1 a Wednesday for the next 4 Wednesdays, just to like launch it. But then it'll be there for people. If you're watching this anytime, you can plug in. Right, you do that with your courses too, right? Do they like people can come?
Yes. So it's been interesting because even that I've been playing with different styles of like, do I want to like do the course live, or do I want to like do pre-record videos? And I've been doing a mixture of everything. But I feel, like I said, right now I feel like I'm gonna be quote unquote like just busy with other things that I'm kind of like, let's just do 1 day, 2 day, kind of like
sounds perfect. Good to shake it up and offer people different things,
right? Yeah. Well, and it's definitely been like that. Like let's change and shift things. I always say like, thank you for navigating with me, because we kind of go all over the place. And I do things differently almost every time. But anyway, just kind of going into like, is there something new to bring forth as I'm closing this 2-year cycle of having been doing this but having been doing it in kind of sort of this way. And so opening myself up to that, like, okay, what is there something new that I can bring forth? Is there something different that I can offer? And so, yeah, like getting ideas from others to also support. I don't know if you probably noticed, and Marissa mentioned it the other day, like she was doing like a whole retreat. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And that kind of activated me to do something, not like, like her yet, but something kind of smaller of like, 1 to, like I mentioned, the one to
Well,
one.
it's interesting. So for 15 years, I owned and managed and organized the schedule for a yoga studio.
Yes.
So it was hardwired into me to, that was all like, that's back when things were in person. Remember those days? But it was been like, because we used to actually like mail out the course catalogs, because this is like from the 90s, right? So, but anyway, you'd like set the schedule for like September to December, and then you do like, we'd have like calendar year schedules, and it took me like one August, I remember sitting when I emancipated myself from that construct in the like the yoga studio, and I had opened my center here, Inner Space, and I was on this, I could do it any way I wanted, like recreating the new. I found myself like doing the old way, like writing down like, oh, it's September, so we're going to like have courses every Wednesday at this time, and like and then I was watching it happen too. And this was many years ago, but like that post 2012, like, how are we going to do things differently? And I was like, oh, I don't have to do it like that anymore. Like it's like the quantum time, like it's not linear based. So like we'll pop things in as they work for the times that we're in, the influences, like our personal schedules. And then, the last couple of years have been more difficult to plan for, like, especially for parents. It's like childcare evaporated in the world. And then it's like when, that's for me, it's like a function of what I can offer is
right.
Someone else is with my little people.
Right. No, and you're right. I mean, everything, because of different situations and what's going on and how fast and all of these things are happening, it's like we have to really open up to getting creative, to what we can do, what we can offer, what's manageable kind of thing with where we're at.
So it's fun to have this conversation, because if anyone else is listening to us, that's like, if we can help emancipate you from like doing it the same way, right?
Well, and even like, I mean, so many people are going through career shifts, they're going through just new jobs, even in the spiritual community, or of some of the things, some of the people that I've seen, it's like they've been doing this for so long, and now they're being called to do something completely different.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really interesting to see that, because and sometimes it's like, I've been doing this for so long, like, how am I going to do this? Like, so what someone had kind of connected with me with that kind of energy. And so it's like, no, like, it's going to be okay. Like, open up. You're going to be guided into, even if you're guided to do the same thing, it's coming from a different space now. And I feel like even for that, some of us are kind of like, going through that shift has been challenging. But anyway, just going back into like, we're definitely going through a journey where we're needing to become more creative.
Right. It's sort of like, I'm just using this as an example, like a bakery that would have a storefront, right? Instead, you like get a food truck and you start doing pop-up events. Right. Like, because like the bricks and mortar, or the whole linear construct. Is yeah, it's like sometimes that works. You could use that when it works for you, but there's also a lot of pop-up. It's like, all right, this is what fits the moment. This is what the collective needs in the moment. This is what my soul is wanting to share at this moment.
No, and that's been kind of, I mean, it's been the challenge for probably like ego human of like wanting to like continue in a way, and then opening up to like, no, I have to navigate with the flow of energy of, like you said, what people are, you know, maybe needing or wanting, what's going on currently, and what I can offer right now in this moment.
I love watching all your pop-ups because it's fun, like for your, you know, as like one of your friends and like person who follows you on, you know, platforms and whatnot. I'm like, oh, what's she gonna do next? It's like fun to like be like magician hat, right? Like, what is she gonna pull out of her back box of tricks next? It's fun. So thank you for having me today. Thanks for this. Thanks for all you do and all you share. It's so inspiring.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your space and time, for being here, sharing everything that you did. We'll link everything. We'll come together and put all the links together, and share everything here. So thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.